How to build in Valheim? That is a question that really could never be answered, as there's so many great things to build in this game, so many different designs and things to build with. It just keeps getting better and better. Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here. Welcome to Valheim for a tour of our village that we've been working on in our live streams, as well as a few other things that I'm sure will inspire you to get some building ideas of your own as we continue to play this absolutely amazing game. Everything you see here, just like in our previous tours, are going to be under construction and in progress, and or we've moved from one area to another. So today I wanted to show you some of the things that we built in our village, and also a farm that I'm building on the edge of a the Black Forest and also the plains. So welcome aboard to all the new subscribers, and thanks again for tuning in, and thanks for liking and doing all the things you do to support the channel. Well, let's go ahead and jump back then here. Go from free fly mode down to the regular gameplay mode, and we'll take a look around a little bit as we continue to play in the survival mode of Valheim. I really hope they add a survival mode and a different survival mode and also a free build mode very soon, as right now the only thing we've really done is just use the camera to look around. You can see all the live streams where we've legitimately gathered and built everything here. Of course, we found this village and we retook it from the, a randomly spawned abandoned village, and designed it all ourselves. This is where we originally started out when I first was learning how to play the game. So things are a little small and definitely really nicely detailed in the small size that we had. We've also put down some roads in their village and added a nice bonfire, as you see. And we even built a blacksmith over here on the right side, which inspired me to build a bigger one somewhere else. Again, as we were learning, we were basically just taking buildings and remodeling them and repurposing them, so that way we could build more things in the game, and eventually put a wall around our village, and now we have a gate and such. That's really cool. One of the important things about this game that I've learned so far is, as you're crafting a lot of things, verticality is very important in this game. So to build shelves and such above, like for example the forge, is a very smart idea. You can grab the bronze or the iron or the coal that you have above you, and you can basically make multiple things and store them without really having to move too far. And then when things are said and done, you can put them into a mailbox or something to be shipped out. Like, for example, here we've turned it into both a kind of a bakery and also a blacksmith shop. But you may have seen that before on our previous builds. So we have builds of all sorts of different sizes and experimentations. We built barns here and farms. We've also built like a kind of a fermenter zone here. And I'm going to show you some more interesting stuff very soon. This is not the only place that we have to take a tour of today. But we have also built some defensive structures to defend against trolls on the outside of our village too, which, as you can see, we built a giant trench and then put a wall around it, and then we have these areas here to shoot from, these little platforms that are covered, and we can basically hunt from here if a boar or a deer gets too close. Pretty cool. You can actually have them come to you rather than going to them and then just go out and get it later after you've shot everything up. We have a couple of farm fields here too. It's really, really beautiful, and I must say that I want you to go back and check out the previous videos that we made on the game if you want to see any tutorials on how to play or how to get some of this stuff. If you have any questions, make sure you check there and comment on those videos too, so that way everybody who's been playing, as well as jumping on our Discord, I would love to see your villages and things that you've been building as well. So make sure you click those links after the video, and if you have any helpful hints, make sure you comment down below and let me know if you've seen anything that you've noticed elsewhere in other builds too, as we continue to share our ideas and get some from others too. It's good stuff. We built a nice little road here and an area to park our carts right next to the barn. And of course, we've even got a mead hall that's almost finished, but is quite a ways away, as now we're building a castle, so we haven't been home for a while. But the lights are on, everything's looking good, and we've got a few homes here and different styles of construction. These kind of being more Nordic-like. And then one over here that we kind of tried to build a little differently, which almost looks like a church, as we continue to experiment with all sorts of different types of building techniques and getting more familiar with the support structure in the game and how all the supports and stuff work. You can have some very large open buildings in this game, so it's really nice. I like to be more claustrophobic and space efficient, but these definitely pay off as well to build large open spaces so multiple people can take a building and defend it, or just store all their stuff here. In fact, you can turn your house into not only just a warehouse, but also a crafting station and so much more. Myself, personally, I like to see a large village, and so when we stumbled upon this at the beginning, it looked really great. We'll take a look at the mead hall real quick. We were also using this area back here behind the blacksmith shop to smelt all of our iron ores. But things have changed as we've kind of reached the end of the game. We've defeated all the current bosses available in early access, and are starting to implement some styles and starting construction on large open areas like this and then starting to detail them. Seems like the easiest thing in this game is to build a large husk or a shell first and then start detailing it. Like, for example, there's really nothing down here, but up here, our friend Alex designed a really nice area with rugs and storage chests and also some great lighting that he put onto a little beam there. Nice little touches that you normally wouldn't notice unless you kind of were looking directly for it, and it just makes everything look more cozy and comfortable as you build. As you can see, our comfort was going up as we were upstairs as well. We built docks in this game. We built large towers with defensive moats around them. We've also built some island farms and some farms off in the plains. But I wanted to show you my farm today that I'm really proud of, and to get some feedback from you, and also kind of show off what I was thinking while doing that. And eventually, I'd love to have my friend Uthris jump onto the server to help me build a beautiful farmhouse eventually in the future. We're at the farmhouse now that I want to continue to expand upon, and there's some really good ideas here that I got from his server, including you could use doors for windows. Good ideas to... We can't build one now, but what I could do is show you exactly how it'll look. Actually, we can build one. You can actually make some windows this way, and if you make your doors or whatnot into shutters, it kind of adds a little extra touch to things, so that way you can have windows open and shut. Really a cool thing. Building multiple floors as well with open floor plans looks good. And also the idea of building a fireplace out of a hearth, which I didn't think of before his videos. So obviously it looks like a little fireplace, and smoke actually goes out the top, so you can build yourself a little farmhouse that way. Alright, take a look at this place. We're going to do a little aerial tour of what I have planned for this place, and then we'll see what you all think about it. So let's go ahead and fly again and go into our free fly mode and take a look around. We'll press F3 and we'll take a look at what we have here. So we have some locks that are outside the farm now, and I'm going to domesticate these and put a wall around these guys. I also have a plan to build a nice little dock over here, but that'll be something a little later, so get excited for that. As I said, we'll be taking a tour of everybody else's villages very soon enough, and we'll get some ideas from that. As you can see, the fireplace looks kind of bland and whatnot, but detailing will be important. We're also going to put a windmill up here as well, so if you picture one of the windmills that you saw at our village on top there, we'll grab ourselves an artisan table and plop that down. It's basically ready to go. I just need to install it. And I built a wonderful road. I'm really proud of this, although these trees could probably be cut and put out of the way, including the pine tree there. I think this tree is the only one I'd like to keep, so we'll move those out today. We built a nice little road along this pathway, and it swings back down below to the wall here, which eventually will build all the way down to where I mentioned earlier with the lighthouse. We'll take a look at all these buildings in greater detail too, so if you like anything that you see or have some ideas of your own, you can always share or take those from me. And everything's shareable in this game. It's really cool. So there's a little idea for a charcoal kiln where it's elevated rather than just sitting on the floor. Little details makes it look like you care a little bit more rather than just placing it on a dirt floor. You take a little extra material like core wood and some planks and some stone, and it actually functions. The coal will pop out into these little storage areas and is usable also on the smelter. All of your stuff will stack up here, and it just makes it look a little more stable and cared for. As we take a look from the top down, you can see where the road kind of winds through everywhere. We've got a gate around this farm too, or rather a large wall, that goes all the way into the back by the dark forest where we have some more farm fields. I plan to grow some flax here, since we have the benefit of being in a biome that has both dark forest and also plains. We can grow flax or barley here, and there'll be more crops added later in the game too, and we can grow some there as well. We have some dark forest plants here going, just a few turnips to experiment to see if it works, and yes indeed it does, and some territory here for some more carrots and turnips. We have plenty of carrots in the game, so this will probably be a turnip farm for quite some time in these two little fields here, and then flax and barley there, as well as an idea, which I'd like to share with you too, just some things I'm proud of that really aren't too impressive, but if you didn't think of it before, it could really change how your farm looks. We're going to do some beehives here with some flax field, and flax, of course, will eventually flower, and it'll look like a nice flower field where the bees can go get, you know, stuff from flowers over here, or fly over the wall, and go, let's say, over here to pollinate things. And it looks quite nice, I must say. I'm really proud of that. It took a very long time to get all of this land stable in order to be able to put down a cobblestone road And the smaller the road, the better. This is not a large village by any means, trying to be a small farm, but things do look pretty out of the ordinary. One of the most gorgeous places here, it looks like an African wildlife refuge or something, taking a look at the locks from this little platform, which just looks absolutely gorgeous. That is a spawner for the final boss over there, or at least boss number 5. I think his name is Yoglith. I can't quite recall, so let me know down below in the comment section. I'd forgotten what it may be. From here, though, we can see the docks, or at least the future side of the docks, the locks that will then eventually be domesticated, and we have a real nice sight of just all these trees and stuff. I made sure that we kept all of these alive because they are gorgeous. Nice little trees here, and you know, everything doesn't have to be clear-cut and removed in order to build something beautiful. So imagine like a little windmill there with the defensive wall at the top of the hill. Enemies could clearly just walk right up here, but they typically don't. There's not really much that the enemy will go past these locks for. The only thing that's a threat, of course, in the plains would be the Deskitos or the Furlings, which don't really come around here. They have a camp over on this side off in the distance. So it's a nice, beautiful thing to see on these types of days. I'm really just showing off the view here because you can just see everything from the farm field when it's not foggy or raining. So everything from the coast to a little camp for the enemy and also the final enemy boss spawner. All cool stuff. And eventually we'll domesticate these to put another little, probably a little fence around them here and build a road that goes to the trader that's nearby. I'd like to show off more of this road here and show you some of the details of what is a 2 1x1 stones with a post in between. It really reminds me of like American national parks, or really like a drive along a alpine-like road somewhere in the United States, or maybe like a little path where there's just a little bit of a fence up, and this looks a little nicer than putting up, for example, the round pole fence. I wanted to be able to see more of the landscape, so this kind of allows you to look through and see everything without too much obstruction, but also it's not a full stone wall, which would be expensive and very intrusive. So it's kind of like somewhere between the two, which looks really nice, in my opinion there. We got a lot of nice little grass remaining too, so we've kind of kept as much as we could. Instead of farming it all, we've kind of opted for just leaving things and walling or fencing it off if we don't need it. And I also tried to back as many trees away from the wall as I could, but it looks like some of them are actually regrowing, or I couldn't get to them. But again, this isn't supposed to be as defensive as I wanted it to be. Nice little defensive structure here. It is more defensive than I wanted it to be for a farm. It looks a little weird, I think, to be this fortified, but it does show that there's other things in here, including the blacksmith shop, which we'll take a look at now. So let's jump back and do that. And what we're going to do next in this game is, once the next biome is ready, the ashlands and the mistlands and such, we have the mistlands nearby, which are just over this direction, just on the other side of where we are now, right in front of us. The mistlands and also the ashlands would be a perfect spot for us to take any ore back here and put it into a blast furnace that we eventually plan to build with the blacksmith. So now that we've taken a little bit of an aerial tour, let's see a little bit more of the details here. We have a little bit of stuff planned for storage, nothing too crazy, but this might inspire you to store your things like this, very Minecraft level of build a sign, put a box there. But you may have not thought about the shelving before, which is quite a nice idea. The verticality that I thought was quite helpful to make us save materials by using all the space that we already had from building those buildings. Armor, weapons, food up in the top loft, and then just something for a little bit of wood storage there just to look nice for firewood or whatnot. We also have a little area to store a cart back here, and we can also put a little cart storage over here in this building. Additional storage is always necessary for things like cooking ingredients, and of course we can park our little cart in here, or a backup cart. We can have more than one. Very easy to make with just a few nails, and more storage here, including resin to keep these torches going. So kind of like a utility shed slash dry storehouse for food, and eventually we can combine all the ingredients back at the house when that's complete. It'll be quite some time, but again, everything is always TBD. Now, as you saw earlier, the barn had a few fermenters in it back where we started, and I did the same here so that way I could make more than one mead at a time. It takes quite a bit of time to make mead, so we are trying to speed that up. And here we'll place a tin cauldron above here so we can take ingredients and cook them, and then eventually start fermenting them. Things like stamina potions and health potions can be made there, so it's quite an important thing to have in any settlement. Here we have a nice little stairwell that leads down to the wall, and we'll be building some more defensive positions such as this. inspired by Uthrus's build before. A good friend of mine, very talented. Again, you can see the defensive structure up there. So just kind of a little platform to stand and shoot at enemies. We don't need too many here. The only thing that really bothers us from time to time is death skeetos, which can be easily dealt with a hammer or whatnot. So here's the bees back here, as you saw before. There's a little platform that's behind them so we can harvest them. And the field that has yet to be planted. That's pretty much the only thing left at the farm to do is actually start farming by putting all the crops down. So we're basically ready to go. And you may have seen a stairwell on the other side of the blacksmith shop. That's another good way to get on the roof to make modifications. A lot of the buildings here are nowhere near complete, so just keep in mind that a lot of these buildings here are just placeholders, so that way it's easier to build a road later. If you put a building down, then you can put a road down later to go around it. Another good idea here will be to do what we did when we were in the village, is to move the forge and such up against the wall, so that way when we're done making stuff, we can put everything into storage above it, and then do all the work below, so that way things can be taken and placed back as quickly as possible. There's a purpose for this hole in the wall, by the way. I hadn't forgotten to build it. What we'll be doing here is we'll be putting a blast furnace, and here was a neat idea that I had that we have yet to test out, which should work. It seems like it'll be just fine. When you get to iron, and once you unlock the artisan table after defeating the dragon boss, you should be able to build something called a blast furnace. And what I'll do here is, you see the two ports there, the square one and the round one on this front side, and you see this one here with the ramp next to the pipes. It looks like it leads to the ground. This is basically the input and the output for the blast furnace. So what my idea is to move this rock out of the way and eventually put this here somewhere, so that way I can place the ores and also coal inside of one end of it, and then we'll build the house out on this right side so I can just basically walk over here and pick it up. We'll make a nice little delivery system so that way we don't have to leave the house in order to smelt anything, yet it'll be attached to the house too. So it'll be right there. Easy to access, but we don't have to go outside, but it's also not inside itself. So it'll be kind of a cool thing for us to work with. Always a good idea to have another workshop inside of your blacksmith shop too, so that way any tools or whatnot can be easily repaired, whether they're made of metal or whether they're made of wood. Another stairwell here to go to the backside. And just a little temporary house here for now. Much to decorate, but you can see all the floor space that I have. This is a little bigger than what I'd want to actually build, but it does give a lot of floor space for more storage and for a few people to live. So with the farmhouse over there, I could probably get, 4 beds in there and another 4 people here living comfortably with area to store their items. So definitely quite a bit that we can do in terms of storage and for individuals and also for production. And a nice little area to store underneath the stairwell as well. Trying to maximize all the space so that way it's not a large empty husk. One of the things that really makes me afraid in this game is to just build a large building with nothing in it. We have a large castle that I'll give you a look at a little bit later. But that pretty much does it for this settlement, aside from the little workshop that's down the road. I'll show you the kiln again just to kind of show you that when we walk up here, all of the coal should pretty much snap into your inventory, and then you can place it into a chest there and go back and get it. It's kind of nice to keep those separate from the blacksmith shop, still part of the same building, but it's nice to see some of the workshop outside too. Not everything has to be under a roof. We have a woodworking building here that I plan to put some chopping blocks outside and some wood down here, so that way we can separate the workshop and the advanced components from the main blacksmith. So for example, we'll put the chopping block and the tanning thing out here, so that way we can upgrade this workbench inside to like level 5 or whatnot. It'll have to be placed relatively close, but again, this building is just an empty hull for now, and that's why it's very important to add all sorts of details. You can see all the little details make a difference. Adding like some logs over the roof, and the adding beams to the roof and the logs over the door look a little different, but again, this is work in progress. We're nowhere near complete, and there's some neat little ideas to do some stuff with that. Now, Uthrus has begun to put up videos, as well as Alex, myself, and a few people in our Discord too, on some design ideas, so make sure you check those out again, so that way we can all share some neat little ideas. Lots of ideas and creativity. It's great to see. I wanted to jump back to the village now and see if we can find what's going on with the large castle. Now, for those of you wanting to build a ginormous castle, it will be a ginormous investment of your time, because it requires so much material. Lots of stone, lots of wood, and other things will be required to build this. And I believe Alex here, with his house, has a little bit of a... Oh, by the way, did you notice my favorite sign in the game? Let me just show you real quick. I'm very proud of this. I show it off every time, but I do certainly love that. Sconces are another good idea to build inside your homes, too. Oh, that one must have broken. Someone put it up crooked. Interesting. Those use a little bit of bronze, and I believe they can burn resin for a little longer. So it's a good thing to actually put so you can see. Oh, look at this. At nighttime, our camp looks so wonderful. Look at this. Let's take a little tour around at nighttime. Really cool looking. So after a storm, it's a little foggy here, and the lighting just makes it look incredible. Great for screenshots, and great to just kind of see it from a distance, too, if you're coming in to trade. Look at that. Wow, it is dark here. Very dark here. That's amazing. Oh, that looks really cool. Wow. Okay. Well, let's go to the castle now, and we'll kind of see what's going on there. We'll take an aerial view of that, even though it's probably nighttime. I actually don't even know how much time has passed. We left in the morning. It's already night. My goodness, time flies in this game. Oh, boy. Wow, we're not going to be able to see anything here. Wow, even the fog is coming into the castle. All right, well, this is one of the floors of Alex's castle. I will go sleep and come back during the day. You can see the... Hold on just a second. I'll be right back. Let's sleep to the next day and come back when we can actually see something. This is going to be huge. This is crazy. It is now the morning of day 322, and we're about over 100 and almost 60 hours into this game. 160 hours of construction of our village. Mostly spending our time on exploring and also fighting the bosses and just learning by not having a Wikipedia or a YouTube video to watch and just doing things ourselves. Whoa, this is going to be one hell of a castle. The amount of material that Alex used to build this must be insane. Is this an actual door? Looks like he just built a some sort of a wall there for now. Right. Well, let's take a look at this castle as best we can. We'll go towards the door. And we'll see this from the outside. Ooh, drawbridge not even linked up. Oh, boy. Well, this is going to be interesting. I don't know. There shouldn't be any limitations to how high he can build or how he builds, but it looks like he's putting a roof on it for now. Again, this is early design of the castle, so it's not really looking like a castle, but it is. A little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look from the above mode. Well, let's see how it looks. Oh, we got an enemy near us. Sir. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wait. Oh, I can't be killed. Cool. Oh, he's doing like 0.1 damage, that's why. Sir? Oh, well. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look around. Sir. Oh, he's going to be rude, isn't he? Are you trolling my video right now? That is so rude. I'm going to have to... Sir. Hold on, I'm sorry. Wow, sorry about that, guys. Wow. How rude. He certainly... that must have been a rude commenter or something. There we go. Back up into visual mode. Well, you can also check out underneath the ground, too, by the way, to see that certain stone deposits will show up underground. For example, large stones like this, or copper deposits, can actually be mined down into, so they go quite down below the surface of the ground. So if you're looking for stone, this is what you're looking for. Go into the mountains and find boulders and things like that, or anywhere. And same with copper and other resources like that. They're basically like tips of the iceberg. Let's take a look at this castle now. So nowhere near is he complete. This almost looks more like a manor or something like that, but again, things are going to be completed. Did I die? I think something killed me. I don't know what happened. I died. How could this be? In Valheim? No way. The amount of carts that Alex must have brought here in order to even start construction on this must be insane. The boy is a good resource gatherer, so if anybody is doing any sort of building, you're probably going to need somebody like Alex to do all the crazy amounts of resource gathering. This game's great for resource gathering. It's great for just generic construction and small homes and things like that. All right, let's go ahead and get back together here. But you've seen the castle from here. Everything is going to be expanded upon. I would say that the mead hall that you saw at our base could probably fit into each one of these sections that he's built. So there's like 4 on the front side, plus it looks like another 4 on the inside. So quite a cool thing that's possible. to be able to build that way. Let's go ahead and put on some clothes here. Jeez. And let's go ahead and take a look in one more time, and then we'll go and see what I call the Amazon distribution center. There we go. Clothing is on. All right, let's take a look one more time inside the castle here. We've got 4 large rooms, and you can see he did the floor plan a little different to try to change the stone pattern. Kind of cool. Doing some with stone that is square, diamond shape, another square shape, and more diamonds too. So really trying to even make variety into what he was putting on the floor. So, you know, think about that. If you put down a stone floor, it doesn't necessarily have to be square, and even with the wall. So that's kind of a nice thing. And he started to build rooms onto the second floor out of wood rather than stone. Probably just running out at this point, but we'll see what his design comes to. We can't judge yet. It's not complete, so we'll see what lies in store soon enough. All right, let's go to the Amazon Distribution Center and see some really neat organization. So one of the questions that I receive a lot during our live streams is, where is the best place to make a base? And my answer would be everywhere. Each one of your biomes would be a good spot to build the same buildings over and over again, to have a good jumping off point on the map. Like, for example, our seed here is 8675309. And that number might be familiar to some of you. But basically, we built a village base here in the meadows that spawned in originally. Then we built a bigger fortress in the dark forest. And then we continued to make bases in the swamps and the plains. So that way we had a place to bring all of our resources once they gathered them. And, you know, in the meadows, for example, that's where you can cut down a lot of trees and get basic meat and food going. And then in the dark forest, that's where you get copper and tin to make bronze. So it's a good idea to have a base there so you can start getting basic weapons up. And then going into the swamps, it's a good idea to find an area that has a dark forest near a swamp. So that way you can use your dark forest base to also go to the swamp. So you have some sort of safe haven to process all your materials and to spawn from if you die, just like I did earlier. Even with some of the best armor in the game, these iron greaves and such, something must have got me. It must have been a wolf or something that typically comes out of the mountains, but it doesn't really matter. All right, let's go see the organization now of boosters, what I consider to be the Amazon Distribution Center. A lot of people ask why we use these basic little boxes here, and they seem to just be more efficient. They would require 2 metal or 2 iron for the larger boxes. So in this game currently, all that we found so far is 3 types of boxes. You have your chest, your reinforced chest, which is like that, but bigger, of course. And then the personal chest, which allows you to put things in yourself, and only you can access it. Kind of like building the ward, except just controlling a box. So we're going to go through Booster's house. And we're going to go to his island where he's building a lock system. Eventually, he'll have a boat that can go to and from and make deliveries and go to this island and be relatively defended. Oh boy. Sound like something was smashing up against this, but... So, another good thing to know in this game you may have not known, and we've done some experiments with this, is if you grab a hoe and go to the Pathin tool and remove all the grass from an area and put down workbenches everywhere, it kind of stops the enemy from spawning. Sometimes they have a chance to spawn on grass, even if you have a workbench nearby. But if you remove all the grass and the workbenches, you won't have to worry about enemies spawning. It looks absolutely ugly, but you can always put the grass back with the cultivator when you're done. And you can see some really nice buildings here, including a round building. I've started to see players now finally making more and more round buildings, as they really do look nice. Here we have a few windmills. And in this biome, only carrots and turnips can be made for now, but barley can be transported through the teleporters and then brought to these beautiful windmills to this somewhat farming base. Now, Booster's just getting started with this, so it's really nowhere near completion, with the most time putting forth into the round building. But this is a great place to do some basic storage and also to have an artisan's table, so that way he can put the cool little windmills up. And the dragons are a nice touch, too, into the corners. Kind of a cool way to make a window. Really. So some basic storage here and a nice roof. We can actually make round buildings that almost look like gazebos. And I think I'm definitely going to build one of those somewhere in my base at some point. Would be cool for an apiary to have maybe like this be in the middle and then all the bees around. Looks like he actually did that himself. And you can see on the top where everything's kind of had to clip into each other. This game is so forgiving with letting you be creative by just trying to blend things together. Really neat. There's the lock system that he tried to design, and that he'll work on building some more, like a gate in order to get into the river. That's between his island. You can kind of see the river there that goes between the island. Almost looks like a chicken drumstick. So this is a really cool looking building, and I think with some experimentation you can build ones of different size, or with perfect round walls too if you'd like to. Get them pretty close to perfect. Of course, it's hard to make a perfect circle when you're working with straight lines, but as you can see, everything is in progress. This building here is the most complete I think I've seen, and an ingenious design to try to bring the cart in here to have an easy loading and offloading delivery system. So the cart in here is intended to be kind of like a delivery truck. This is essentially like a warehouse where things can be brought to, and you can see all of the boxes around here where things can be gathered from and delivered to later. And with the game being incomplete, Booster wanted to make a ton of boxes so that way things in the future could be stored here, so he never had to expand upon storage. And for those of you wanting to be super organized, this is a great way to do it. So the cart can come in here, of course, and you use it as such as a road. And there's all of these different chests here, which are all reinforced chests with extra storage space. They take a little bit of iron, 2 iron each, to build. It takes a lot of time to get that assembled. But from here on out, we have an area where we can bring, if somebody joins our server, we have beginner armor, intermediate, and advanced armors. We have things for food and for more construction, and it's organized in a way that I guess he can understand, and maybe possibly in some sort of way where it's found by biome. Like, for example, wood, fine wood, etc., all found in and around the beginning biomes of the game, with a lot of extra storage for anything, really. All you got to do is throw a sign on it, and you got it. I think it could use some rafters, but other than that, it's a really nice, clean-looking building that could fit into any large village. If you've got a large village, this is a perfect fit for it, and has a ton of detail to it as well. Even the doors being put to the test as windows on the side. You can kind of see how he tried to hide it with the frame, but the fact that you can open windows in this is pretty cool. And so you can actually let air through, and it does resemble kind of something more than just a square, bland building. So lots of good protection from enemies, as it is made of stone, and also rain protection with the nice big roof. It's essentially a pole barn, a large storage warehouse, as it is in real life, but just in this game. With more room for stuff in the middle, you can make some more shelving here and make even more storage. So to be able to predict that there's going to be more stuff in the game and to store it that way is a good idea, because rather than expanding on a building and then expanding again and expanding again, you just make one large building and pack it with those things, and it actually looks decent compared to the other stuff. The other barns that I built, this has a little bit more love to it, as it has a good variety of detail and materials, which look different too. At this point, we're really limited in this game on what we can do. We are, but we aren't. There's lots of options for stone walls and iron gates, and also different types of defenses in wood, like, for example, core wood. And another pro tip, by the way, something that I learned recently, or that I didn't really think would be useful, is core wood is used to make log beams that are also vertical and horizontal, but that's about it. You can't use them to make wood walls. Hopefully in the Hearth and Home update, which will come soon, which there are many updates coming for the game, they'll include something like that in the future. And core wood is a really good thing for now to be used as wood to burn for making coal, so that way you don't have to use all the regular wood for your construction. Now, Booster is eventually going to flatten out all this land, and there's a lot of potential here. And this is how projects start in this game, as, you know, there's not really a lot of room for any of your stuff with all the wildlife and the, there you go, there's some wildlife there, all the trees and stuff around. But eventually, when you clear everything out, you can gather all the materials to reappropriate them. It's a good idea to start small and then go big, but with this island, it's the perfect size for one person to terraform everything. As we're at my base, our base all the way down here is just in this corner, right up against the cliff. So that's where the house was, and all the buildings are down that way. And you can even see plans for roads to be built to the trader and whatnot. So very cool stuff. Anyway, there's a lighthouse being constructed here, and I am really interested to see how he's going to do this. A building that's kind of a square with rounded edges, and a really good-looking thing in the middle here. Now, bonfires cannot be placed on stone slabs at the moment. So Booster got around that limitation by raising the ground with stone and the hoe in order to make a stone pillar in the middle of the map, or in the middle of the building, and placing the fire here. Now, he could put stone underneath here to make it look good. Again, it's not complete, so we can't judge yet. But the fact that he made a lighthouse, or at least a light tower of some sort, is pretty damn impressive. He put that at the southern end, with all the farming at the northern end, with plans for a village and such in between. Now that we've completed the game, we've really taken a lot of time to do more building, and doing it legitimately has been a lot of fun. Looks like he went with the one gate there. That looks nice. More detail will make that even look better. And as you can see, he's taken a lot of materials from the rocks nearby to try to build this thing as well. A little bit of cleanup will make it more presentable, but this is kind of how things will look when you reach the end of Valheim. When you want more building ideas, or if you just want to start out building, I would at least recommend to get iron, so that way you can get the stone cutter. Once you go to the swamps and get some iron and make the stone cutter, then you can start making buildings that are large. You can always make large buildings like Viking longhouses. You don't even need stone to make that. But if you want to decorate and put retaining walls down and other things like that, make it look a lot better that way. There's no shame in things looking like this at the start, especially if you're trying to do a little bit of planning. Everybody builds differently. Everybody has different ideas, and everybody comes up with different solutions to different problems. And this building's even incomplete too, as there's still a little bit of the wood trim missing. But everything is always in progress, and so that's why we put about 160 plus hours into the game, and that's why at this point it is rocketing towards over now 3 million people have purchased Valheim, and rocketing towards 4 million. That's crazy. I knew this game was good, but I didn't think it would be that insane in such a short time, and hopefully there's a lot more added to the game soon. Let's go back to the village now to do a little bit of chilling. I think Booster should probably move the portal from that little space down here to at least the roundhouse. Another great idea is to use your Viking mead halls as a teleportation station. Might be a good idea to make that a central area to store valuable weapons and armor, all of your portals, and then of course in order to gather to drink your mead after your big raids. Now, what I really like about this village too, by the way, is this is the development of us not knowing what to do in the game and eventually learning by trial and error. And at this point, I'm sure you've seen a lot of videos and read a lot of articles and want to build bigger things. So the sky is the limit in Valheim. You do as you please, and everything at least is satisfying to some degree. So there's no right, no wrong. There's bigger and better, and you improve with each day. So get out there and build something, and show me on our Discord what you may have come up with, and show me other ideas that you may have on our Discord as you play Valheim as well. I want to start doing some tours, as I mentioned, of your villages. So if you built an underground cave, which is something we'll be taking a tour of, Viking longhouses, mead houses, docks, warehouses, farms, and many other things planned, we've already got on our list. So if you got some stuff too to show off, make sure you do. Thanks again for subscribing to today's video. I hope you learned something. Lots of new things to see. Probably about 150 new things in our village, including the trim, the roadways, many improvements that we've made since our very first video on the channel about just how to basically play. And now there's just so much to learn, so much to do, and so much to see. And I hope you enjoyed what you saw here today. So tell a friend, use that clips function down below to tweet it out and do whatever as we grow towards 1 million subscribers. You guys have been amazing, so thanks for dropping in. And here's my favorite view of the entire village. Me and my stove. I love it. All right, guys, take care. I'll see you soon. Thanks for all the support and positivity and awesomeness. I hope you enjoyed this. There is much more. There is much more to do on Valheim, and there's much more to do with all of our wonderful shots and community. So make sure you go ahead and check it out. We'll see you soon. Goodbye, everybody.